What's up, guys? Welcome to Lift and Coast. My name is Sean. Thanks for stopping by and saying hi. I want to hit a few things in light of the British Grand Prix last week and a few notes before we start the weekend in Spa-Francorchamps, or however you pronounce it. So this is a lot of hardcore racing fans. Like, these are two of their absolute favorite tracks, and so I just figured we'd touch on a few things. I wanted to point out that Leclerc, his pace was really quite good in Silverstone, and that was surprising. Now, I think we all kind of believed Antonelli was going to catch him, right? There was an offset in tire strategy. You have Mercedes against Ferrari. Antonelli was the lead driver for Mercedes on this past weekend at Silverstone, and you had Charles, who was the lead driver for Ferrari. Lewis and George were less in the conversation. And it was going to, like, with 6 laps to go, I think is what Toto said, they had planned to be able to catch the Mercedes would be catching the Ferrari with 6 laps to go. And to be honest, and to be fair, it seemed like the Mercedes had more pace. Regardless of what qualifying order was or what happened in over one lap, over a race distance, it seemed that Mercedes just had the better of them. And so the McLarens aren't in it at this point. There's a few other cars that are within, shouting distance of the front, but it's mainly a 2-horse race. I think Kimi's car has like mechanical failure. It's weird. Aerodynamic pieces started coming off of the front end of the car, and they got wedged in between steering. He couldn't get the wheel to turn. And so eventually those parts broke loose. He made a pit stop. He made another pit stop. So anyway, he in the end, he was in a position for like a P9, which is one championship point if he can get a P10 or better. So he wanted to bring it across P9 or P10 so that he could get the point for his team. But as it turned out, they were accruing penalties because he kept leaving the track. And he was only leaving the track because his car wouldn't turn. He wasn't gaining time. He wasn't gaining an advantage. But we asked, all of us fans collectively asked for a hard and fast rule regarding track limits. And the FIA gave us one. So basically, if you color outside the lines 3 times during a race, you get a black and white flag, which means you have one more chance. If it happens again, they start taking time from you. They take a 5-second penalty or a 10-second penalty, or whatever the case may be, depending on the track, depending on the stewards, depending on the scenario. So we asked for that kind of hard and fast because we would see guys leave track all the time in quali, and sometimes they leave the track and it isn't any faster. It's not a shorter distance, but it allows them to set up the next corner. Like, the drivers wouldn't do it if there wasn't some sort of advantage to it. And so at the end of the day, they have to make a rule and just stick to it. I'm all for changing rules. It's just one of the many frustrations as an American fan that I have with Formula One, because I think most new fans here stateside that I know who've fallen in love with the sport over the last 5 or 6 years, I think they would get behind just about any rules that you give them. But what they can't get behind is the ever-changing rule set. Now, that doesn't mean you shouldn't evolve, right, as a sport. But this is one of those times where, as much as I like Kimi, and as ridiculous as it was that they were going to penalize him for leaving the track because of a broken car, it also is like, hey, that's the rule. If we're not going to stick to it, then why have it? And so I appreciated the stewards at the British GP for saying, no, this is what we're doing. And so, unfortunate weekend for Kimi. He comes away, he goes from looking like he's going to definitely take a second at worst, probably a first, to completely out of the points due to another Mercedes mechanical failure, which is interesting. It's very interesting, right? Like, that's normally not Mercedes' default position. They have what appears to be the best power unit. They have what appears to be the best driver, right? And they could be walking away with this title, but they've had bad luck. George got hit with bad luck, then Kimi got hit with bad luck. So it's been just a really interesting start to the season. And for us as fans, especially if you're neutral regarding these teams, if you're a fan of like Aston or something, which, by the way, if you are, I'm sorry, but if you're a fan of another team, it's this makes it more exciting because you had Lewis was the lead Ferrari guy. Well, then now he's behind Charles. Charles is catching up. You had Kimi is the lead Mercedes guy, and now George has caught up over the last couple weeks. So it was very interesting. But the British Grand Prix is, and this is something I pointed out. I think it's turn one, two. It's turn 3 or 4. It's one of those. It's before the first long straight of the lap at Silverstone. You can sacrifice your exit speed out of a corner in order to dive and get track position and jump in front. This is the same thing at Coda in Sector 3, the Mickey Mouse sector. There are these unique opportunities at Silverstone where you can go, yeah, hey, it's going to cost me time down the subsequent straight because I won't get the perfect exit. But because this guy's setting up going wide, I could just dive right in front of him and gain track position and at least force him to have to come back past. That's what Max did it to Hadjar early in the race, and it was awesome. And that kind of side-by-side racing is priceless. You don't get it at very many tracks. Later in the race, we saw Lewis and George going, what do the Brits say, hammer and tongs? They were going at it through Maggots, Beckett's, and then eventually I think Lewis gets the overtake, but then unfortunately George had more battery. We didn't know that at the time, so we thought Lewis made this incredible overtake, and then George just comes blowing back past him down the final straight. But still, it was cool to see them race side by side. Like I know some of that's artificial because these overtakes don't stick because of the battery, but it's still really fun to watch. My eyes like it, like, you know what I mean? So it was entertaining to watch. This again, the biggest non-human related tragedy in all of Formula One, all of motorsport, is that we only do one race a year at Silverstone. That's crazy. It is absolutely bananas. They broke every attendance record that Formula One has this past weekend. Over 500,000 people were there on the weekend. We have got to find a way to do multiple races there. I think we should do an all-star event. I think we should use the Singapore lights. I think we should do stuff in the evenings. Like, I understand I'm Americanizing it, and that's going to probably aggravate some hardcore fans. But you come up with an idea. It doesn't matter to me. I don't care if we just have 2 races there every year. Have the British Grand Prix and the Silverstone Grand Prix. Who cares? We did that during the COVID season. The track is worth having multiple races. It's a venue that can support it. You can do one venue focused at locals, and those from Western Europe and go, hey, if you bring European ID, we'll give you 15% off your ticket prices. Then you could have one based on international, or hey, if you come from a different hemisphere, we'll give you 15% off your weekend tickets if you want. Like, you can find ways to do promotional events. If you had an all-star event, it seems like you could sell that as like its own TV deal. I don't know the legalities involved, but if you could create a new product and then you could sell that to like one of the big networks for a one-off, or maybe Apple or whomever wants to buy it, Netflix might want to buy it, like do the whole Jake Paul thing, just like have a one-off race event with Formula One drivers. They would all have to agree to it. I understand there's danger involved, but man, the track is so good. It's so good. So I had a blast watching it. I've seen it a couple of times. So yeah, Leclerc gets the big win. Lewis is third on the podium. George is in between the two of them, between the 2 Ferraris, which it's a good day for him. I don't know if you guys saw the Lando fan zone. Jeez, that guy, that high vis yellow or high vis green. I don't know what color we're supposed to call that. It was in this whole grandstand right near the end of the lap. It was really, really cool. It's something cool that like Lando was like beloved, and then he went from being beloved to kind of like, oh, this guy's got an attitude, and then he won a title, and I guess the love's back. So it was pretty cool to see that though, because he seems like someone who is genuinely appreciative of that, and that's all you can ask for. I mean, these people they're elite level athletes, they're superstars, right? So the fact that they have to get tired of people constantly wanting things from them. But Lando's one of those guys that seems to always appreciate the fact that the fans are there, and he's always seems kind of like blown away by it. So I don't know if that's real or not, but I think that's pretty cool. That's a pretty cool disposition for a guy to have. So that was fun. I had somebody ask, or I heard it asked, where are the George Russell fans? What is the George Russell stand fans, or George Russell fans stands? It's funny. The missus and I were talking about this. It's funny. George is really good, and when he talks like offline, or out of the car, he comes across as like the governor, like he's like this politician. And I think it's almost like that's where he's good, right? But when he is in the car, some of the things the yabba dabba do and some of the things he says on the radio, it's just weird. And when he starts complaining or advocating for himself on the radio, it's not the best look. For years, Lewis is advocating for himself on the radio, and he's, oh, the tires are dead. The tires are dead. Never mind. The tires are fine. Right. Max, the downshifts are crap. The downshifts are crap. All these guys, they say craziness on the radio and it doesn't seem to hurt their off track appeal. For whatever reason, George just has this weird, something doesn't feel genuine. And so there are less George Russell fans than I think there should be. I think he's really good. Of course, if he loses this, and this may be his one and only shot at a title. So you never know. You can't predict the future. But this has got to be a painful season for him, for sure. He gets to Mercedes. They're no longer the dominant team. He beats his teammate, who, in fairness, was probably not that concerned with racing him. He was just trying to produce good results and figure out why the car was slow. But George was the lead Mercedes guy. Then he has the new young teammate, and he dog walks him last year. And now this year, the car is title worthy. It is race winning car. And George is, he's not as fast. Like, there's just no other way to say it. He's struggling. And so it'll be interesting to see if he turns that around. Speaking of turning things around, Red Bull has the rotisserie wing thing on a jig. The Macarena wing, it's so silly. It's a wing that when it opens up in straight line mode, it like flips upside down. So it really, really thins out that rear wing. And then when it closes, it adds a great level of downforce for the cornering mode. So as cool as it looks, Ferrari's is working fantastically. I think some other teams have theirs working, but Red Bull has had issues with theirs. Now, it's up to us, as fans, you have to decide what you believe. But this is Max wrecked out of the race, got stuck in the gravel, had would have been a pretty big shunt, but there's just so much runoff at Silverstone, so he safely, came to a stop in the gravel. He was stuck. But apparently the rear wing didn't close properly, or didn't close all the way. And so that's devastating. Now, this is 2 weeks in a row. This happened in Austria in qualifying. In Q3 at Austria, Max's wing didn't close. He went sailing into the wall. Then again, at Silverstone in the race, he's performing admirably, and his wing doesn't reattach, and it sends him off, I think, at Copse. Now, is this Max's fault, or is this the car's fault? And because it's 2 weeks in a row, I find it really hard to believe that Max made a mistake 2 times in a row, and the team is just making up excuses for him, saying the wing didn't close. Like, that happens sometimes. I remember Logan Sargent, threw it into the wall somewhere. Maybe it was Miami, here, our home Grand Prix. And James Faust is like, yeah, no, it was at Zandvoort. He threw it in the wall, and he's like, yeah, but as he went over a bump, the steering linkage came undone. He couldn't turn the car. He drove into the wall. Like, sometimes it's good for the team boss to kind of give a little cover to the drivers. Like, you could provide top cover. You could say, hey, it's not the driver's fault. But this doesn't feel like that's what it is. Max seems genuinely mad. He also seems genuinely concerned. And it has happened 2 weeks in a row. Now, it's not happening to Hadjar. So does that mean his wing's working appropriately? Is it just Max's wing? Or is it something about the way Max drives that really exploits the weakness that wing has? I think the FIA has been commissioned to do a study, which I'm sure that'll reveal all kinds of wonderful insights. But the FIA has been commissioned to do a study to make sure the wing is safe, and there's talk of them making all of the flippy-uppy wings illegal, or not. So I don't really know what to make of this. I just know 2 weeks in a row, Max Verstappen will make the odd mistake. He's a human being, but to make the exact same mistake in the exact same corner profile. They both happen to be right-hand turns also, and he went sailing off the left side of the track. It's just really rare to see Max do that. Max, he spins from time to time, but it's usually slower speed stuff. He can save it and get going again. But these are just like really, really high speed back end goes, it's oversteer and you're done. So it's interesting. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they sort through that. But of course, that all happened as simultaneously there were Max rumors everywhere about him and McLaren now. He's going to go to McLaren, which I think is absolutely not going to happen. I think it'd be cool. I'd love to see him and Lando race each other, or to see Oscar get a chance over at Red Bull, assuming that's the direction the team would go. But I don't think that's going to happen. McLaren's a customer team in the purest sense. Like, they have all of the DNA of a factory team, right? They have a huge 1,000-person workforce that at Woking. It's awesome building. The MTC, of course, we've all seen on television, on YouTube. It's awesome facility. They have some of the brightest and best minds in Formula One, no doubt. But they don't build their own power units. Maybe there's a plan to in the future. I don't know. But they are a Mercedes customer team. And right now, for example, that is something that, among other things, there's other things they need to continue improving on this particular era of cars. But they are going to be playing catch up with the power units for a couple of seasons, I would imagine, at best. Because Mercedes they just know how to manipulate those engines better. They know how to change the software in a way that's just with a higher level of efficacy. They can do everything better because they built it. Whereas McLaren's just buying it. So if Max went to another team, I find it hard to believe that he would go to a customer team. Though you can say, like, with all sincerity, that Red Bull was a customer team when Max won all his titles. So maybe he thinks that's a better system. I would think he would want to go to Mercedes, or if he had a chance to go to Ferrari, I think he would choose one of those before he would choose, or even like Aston, if they end up getting their stuff turned around and they are the Honda factory team. I can make a case for him going to many other teams before McLaren. It'd be hard for me to understand, but I guess GP, his Gian Piero Lambassi, his race engineer, is moving over to McLaren to be like the team boss in waiting or team boss in training or whatever. He's going to eventually take over for Stella. He's part of their succession plan there. So maybe that's what's got him going. The rumors, I don't know. All these rumors started after the Austria wreck and before the Silverstone wreck happened. And then the rumors came out about Max meeting with the Red Bull higher-ups regarding potential ownership stake in the team if he would waive his performance clause. So right now, again, this is just believed to be true. Max has a clause in his contract that if he's not in one of the top 3 fastest cars, or one of the top the 3 positions on the grid, that he's allowed to avoid his contract and go to a different team. It would be just considered an out clause as part of the driver option, right? So Max can sign up to race for them, and if they start performing poorly and that situation continues for too long, Max can just leave. He can void his side of the contract out and he can go. Now, I'm sure there's rules and standards within what that looks like, right? He probably has to wait till the season's over, give them so much notice, maybe. I don't know how it works. But Red Bull wants that stipulation removed. So they offered him ownership stake in the team, and he turned it down. Now, if that's true, and again, that is a huge asterisk. There are a bunch of little facts called details that we don't know. Okay, I'm not trying to say that I know it all, but I can tell you with certainty, if they did offer him a piece of ownership in the team, and he indeed turned it down, that will make them angry. They will want him gone ASAP. There's no bigger slap in the face to a company than for them to give you the opportunity for more ownership, more responsibility, more money, and to have you elect to say no, to forego that opportunity. They would see that as a huge slap in the face. It's nuts. That's nuts. It's the irony is not lost on me. People always talk about Christian Horner being jealous of Toto Wolff. I don't think Christian's jealous of anybody. I think Christian's very happy in his own skin. There is something Toto has that Christian always wanted that he never got, and that is partial ownership of the team. Like, Toto Wolff owns 33.33% of the Mercedes F1 team. So Toto is the boss. He doesn't have to worry about coming into work and getting a pink slip and sending him home with his walking papers. Like, Toto owns a piece of the team. So any decisions to replace him as a team principal, he would be involved in those decisions, right? He is a 1/3 owner. And Christian Horner, no matter how great he was at winning titles, he was a W-2'd hired help, employee. And so he was, at the mercy of whatever the board or whatever the ownership group wanted to do. And so for years and years, it was believed that he just wanted that piece of ownership and he couldn't get it. And here now Max, a driver, is being offered that and he rejects it. It's just the irony's not lost on me. So again, who knows if these things are true, but these things did come to light like before and after the Silverstone weekend. So I figured I'd mention it. I don't know. What do you think? If we were going to race at Silverstone multiple times a year, what would you want that to look like? Just a thought. Answer in the comments. All right. We are coming to Spa this weekend. Now, hot take, Spa's not one of my favorite tracks. It is beautiful. It is absolutely aesthetically pleasing. And it is a fun track to load in the simulator and go do laps on because it's got everything. It presents some really cool strategic options that I like. But I still think most of the overtakes at Spa happen at La Source Turn 1 or at the top of Radiana Rouge going to Kimmel Straight. I think that's where most of the overtakes happen. And that's fine. It's good. But Spa the weather is always like really iffy. And if it rains, the race gets canceled. So it's just, for whatever reason, it's a really long lap. I usually like the opposite. Most of the time, Silverstone is an exception, but I like short laps, lots of laps. So this is like over 4 kilometers, or over 7 kilometers, 4.3 miles. So this is one of those tracks with a really low lap count. It is beautiful to see, though. It's just there's a lot of it's sectors 1 and 3 are high speed, low downforce sectors. Sector 2 is high downforce and a lot of high speed corners. So what's cool about Spa is that you can set your car up where maybe it won't qualify as well. It'll be really good in a straight line, which will make you, that's important for overtakes in the race. But you're going to melt the tires if you push too hard through the second sector. And so, you can set your car up that way, or you can go the complete opposite. If your car doesn't have good straight line power anyway, you could set your car up for sector 2 that has all the high speed downforce and you can put huge gaps on the other teams. Then you just got to figure out how to not get overtaken in the straights of sectors 1 and 3. So I do like that element of it. This is where you'll see teams take advantage of different setups, and I think that's pretty cool. But it is interesting. If you set your car up for sector 2, it will probably produce a higher quality pace because you lose more time in corners than you do in straights. So everybody's going to want to have downforce for sector 2. But if they set their car up that way, they're vulnerable sectors 1 and 3 for the straight line pace of other cars to just blow by them. So I would imagine this will be another Mercedes/Ferrari sort of track. And there may be some other teams that kind of ping up because they are very good at running their car lean and slippery and taking off all the aero. So we'll see if that's the case. Also, the Spa microclimate drinking game this weekend is always fun. You can take a drink every time you hear the word microclimate. They will say that a lot. It will be raining on some parts of the track and dry on other parts of the track. It's such a big, and it is huge. They like race down the side of a mountain, essentially. Like that's what sector 2 is. It's a bunch of high speed, fast corners going down a cliff. So that part of it's really is really cool. And Spa used to be huge. It used to run the whole town back in the day. So they cut it. This is the short version, I guess. If you ask people like Mr. Windsor and guys that were here, Joe Sayward, guys that are race historian fans, I've never seen the long version of Spa. This is already really long to me. But yeah, I like it. It's good. I really like Hungary's coming up. I love Hungary, and it's inexplicable. I don't know why. I don't know why I like what I like. I'm sorry. Like Silverstone makes sense. It's the best racetrack, right? The Red Bull Ring, the Interlagos. I love the Portimao. But even Portimao, I can't explain why I like what I like. So I'm not saying I'm right, and nor am I criticizing anyone who loves Spa. I just think Spa is a financial, like asterisk in kind of a financial fly in the ointment because they aren't able to make back as much revenue, I guess, because it's in the middle of nowhere. So like there's very few opportunities for lodging, and there's very few places to eat. And so Spa is one of those places that has always had a little bit of a tough time from a financial perspective because it's just so isolated and so remote. So that's a shame. You hate to hear that as a reason that a place can't host can't host an F1 race. But the reality is, it costs about, what do we think now? Minimum of $20 million to host a race. That's minimum. And if you're paying $20 million to host a race, that means you got to make $20 million and $1 just to turn a profit, right? And so, as a race organizer, the only way you're going to do that is through concessions and lots of merch and lots of opportunities for lodging, other things. You get to make money off the ancillaries, but if you're not set up for that, which it doesn't appear that the town is, it does make it a hard place to go racing. So it's not so much that I don't like Spa, it's that I believe Spa is going away, at least on an every season basis. We may move it to like every other year. And so I guess maybe more than anything, I'm just trying to get my head around the fact that that's happening. And even if I don't like it, just trying to get used to it. Sometimes that's just embrace the suck. You're like, this isn't what I want, but it's going to happen. So let's just get ready for it. Yeah. Anyway, I'm excited to see the race. I'll have thoughts afterward. I just wanted to touch base this week. Still trying to work on getting a regular schedule for when to release these videos. If you're here and you're still listening, I want to say bottom of my heart, thank you. Yeah, thanks, Mom. I appreciate it. I hope you guys all have a good day. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Bye.